Professional wrestling is inherently absurd. You're watching two sweaty, oiled-up bruisers roll around in a ring in their pants. It's daft, it's silly, it's over the top, and that's fine. After all, there's a reason the hyper-realistic Japanese shoot-style promotions of old all died out. Wrestling usually needs to sacrifice a little bit of reality in order to generate drama. We accept this to a certain degree, but there does need to be a balance, and promotions often go way too far in the pursuit of entertainment. Many of these rivalries fell on their backsides on account of how dumb they were, becoming bastions of hilarity and embarrassment that still stand today. With that in mind, I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are the 10 most ridiculous wrestling feuds. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10, Perry Saturn vs Raven and TERRI Runnels. Lumbered with the stinking moppy gimmick as punishment for legitimately shooting on jobber Mike Bell in 2001, Perry Saturn was portrayed as an imbecile. He was infatuated with the prop and babbled to it like a maniac, but while the fans were surprisingly into it, his girlfriend, TERRI Runnels, was not. Saturn chose Moppy over TERRI. TERRI left him, hooked up with Raven, then, in a particularly insane angle, fed Perry's new beloved to a wood chipper. Perry technically won the feud by besting Raven at Unforgiven, but his character was never the same, and he tumbled down the rankings soon after. Number 9, Kane vs Pete Rose. 17-time Major League Baseball All-Star Pete Rose is one of WWE's most decorated celebrity guests, having appeared countless times between 1998 and 2010. More often than not, his cameos revolved around Rose getting the piss knocked out of him by Kane. It started at WrestleMania 14, when he ate a tombstone piledriver, but he came looking for revenge the following year and, well, let's just say it didn't go too well. Further shellackings continued over the years, and Pete's last appearance came in March 2010, when, surprise surprise, he was attacked off screen by Kane. Though more of a running joke than an actual feud, Big Red Monster vs Baseball Legend is definitely one of WWE's most bizarre rivalries. Number 8, Becky Lynch vs James Ellsworth. WWE don't really do full-on intergender wrestling anymore, but they made an exception for Becky Lynch and her 2017 feud with James Ellsworth. The chin that eats the pin first fell afoul of the last kicker at Money in the Bank, pushing Becky from the ladder to claim the briefcase for Carmella. Lynch took constant shots at Jimbo after that, mostly through social media, but the tension did make it to television every now and then. It all came to an end on the November 7th episode of SmackDown, when Becky finally made the wee rat tap out to her disarm her, effectively sending him packing from WWE. Number 7, Al Snow vs Big Boss Man. As dumb as this was, it at least told a coherent story with a clear-cut beginning, middle and end, actual stakes, and the right conclusion, with the good guy overcoming his tormentor. Still, the content was ridiculous. After a few weeks, Snow vs Bossman was expanded to include Pepper, Al's pet chihuahua, who was kidnapped by the crooked cop. Bossman then arranged a parlay between him and Snow, during which he fed his rival dinner in a hotel room. The key ingredient? Chihuahua. With Pepper still working her way through Al's digestive tract, Snow and Bossman wrestled the historically bad Kennel from Hell match, which Al fortunately won. An awful storyline, but not quite the worst of Bossman's career. Number 6, Big Bossman vs Big Show. Okay, so this was pure unbridled trash from start to finish, and as tasteless as it gets, even for the Attitude Era. The story began with Show's father being diagnosed with cancer. Bossman played a mean joke by telling Show he'd passed away that mocked his meltdown. A few weeks later, Show's dad did pass away in kayfabe, and this led to the infamous funeral invasion angle, in which Bossman rolled up to the ceremony, hooked the coffin up to his car, and drove off with a crying Big Show hanging on. The then continued for another few weeks, and we were all thankful when it ended at Armageddon 99. Number 5, Dawn Marie vs Torrie Wilson. This bag of balls began when WWE brought Torrie's real-life dad, Al, onto TV, and him and Dawn fell for each other. The romance bloomed, and Torrie was peeved, but it soon got weirder. Dawn told Torrie that she was becoming attracted to her, they kissed, and Torrie won their first singles match, but Al and Dawn were engaged regardless. Dawn and Torrie hooked up in a hotel room, and as the feud trundled into its 5th unbearable month, Dawn and Al were married in their underwear in January 2003. Oh, and then the big man died a week later. The cause literally shagged to death by his new bride. Number 4, Hulk Hogan versus the Dungeon of Doom. As horrible as the Dungeon of Doom were, they did at least give us the Yetis wonderful debut, so let's be thankful for that. The feud with Hulk Hogan absolutely sucked though. Kevin Sullivan's band of bozos featured so many members it was possible to tell who was coming and going, and therefore impossible to take the feud seriously. His mission to destroy Hulkamania was a failure, and the group presented the worst possible versions of guys like John Tenta and Kamala. Their dumbest night came at Halloween Havoc 1995, when not only did we get the Yeti and giant dry-humping Hogan, but Hulk shoving the future Big Show off the building, only to return an hour later, because apparently death wasn't permanent in WCW. Number 3, Blood Runs Cold. Mortal Kombat was one of the hottest video game franchises in the world in 1996, and this was WCW's attempt at cashing in. Yes, it was every bit as lame as it sounds. Glacier was their Sub-Zero ripoff, and his rival, Mortis, was supposed to be a green-coloured version of Scorpion. Both looked like and WCW actually spent a ridiculous $35,000 on Glacier's body armor alone. I wonder why that company went out of business. Either way, the tagline Blood Runs Cold became this feud's official slogan, and a third Mortal Kombat themed dweeb, Wrath, eventually showed up, but these game characters come to life drowned in a sea of crap writing. Number 2, Vince and Shane McMahon versus Shawn Michaels and God. It's easy to lose track of all the audacious stories Vince McMahon has put himself in over the years, but placing himself across the ring from an actual holy deity stands among the most ridiculous. This was WWE's attempt at bringing Michael's status as a born-again Christian onto TV. Thus, Vince booked him and Shane versus HBK and, God at Backlash 2006. Yeah, it was really dumb. The deity was represented by a single spotlight, which Vince ordered the referee check for weapons. Fortunately though, the big man checked out early. God has left the building, Vince McMahon announced, and it effectively turned the match into a handicap. WWE were wise to dispense with this nonsense early on, but the setup beggars belief. Number 1, Broken Matt versus Brother Nero. While the majority of these feuds suffered for their absurdity, Matt Hardy's Broken Universe thrived in it, and the Brother Nero feud was his apex. Far from the hollow, woken shell it has become in WWE, Matt's world was a playground of madness, and in the final deletion, the Hardys presented one of the most unique wrestling matches we've ever seen. It was pure theatre and a slice of absurdist genius that perfectly captured the fans' imaginations. Their buzz went through the roof, and it only amplified as time progressed. Most viral sensations burn out, but not the Broken Hardys, whose wave was strong enough to carry them all the way to a WWE return at WrestleMania 33. Not bad for a feud built around drones and dilapidated boats.
Why would you look at that? You got all the way to the end of the video and your mother said you'd amount to nothing. What are the chances? While you're here, why not watch one of our other many, possibly quite good channels, or watch another video which will be largely in the same vein as the quality content you've just endured. Go on then.